welcome once again to the Radical Imagination, Real Talk in the Hamptons. I'm your host, Jim Vredos, and my guest today is Dr. Asma Rashid from the Hamptons Medical Center in Bridgehampton.
Yes.
And I'm just thrilled and excited, beyond my usual excitement, to have Asma with me today as my co-host and my co-organizer for, I think, one of the most important events that the Hamptons has had in quite a while. And I would like to discuss it with her today. It's going to be on October 26th. It's at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Bridgehampton. You'll give us the details of people who are going to be there. And I've entitled this show, Times That Try Men's Souls. Let the healing begin. Because these are really troubling, dangerous times. And where there's a coarseness and brutality about American democracy, what's left of it, that is very, very disturbing. And we are in desperate need of talking together much more civilly and learning to heal and learning to deal with our differences of opinion. So that's how we, right?
That's right. That's how we connected.
Connected, and this is what we're about, and this is what this show is about. So, Asma, tell us a little about.
Yeah, well, I think that the focus of our event is really to emphasize that there is freedom of speech, there is freedom of religion, there is freedom of everything that American values adhere to. And we will not be silenced. I think the approach to the event is having the major religions of the world, the Abrahamic faith, the Islamic faith, Christian faith, as well as the Judaism faith, to be a role model in this community to display how we can have a conversation of differences and our similarities on a platform that allows us to speak our mind civilly.
Right.
And
A learning experience.
it's a learning experience. And another experience of what's happening in the world today is that that platform will showcase how a civil debate can occur and how we're all hurting in one way or another. And this is an opportunity for us to heal together. Because what we are lacking spiritually is to believe that we can exist in isolation when we truly have to exist with everyone else. And this is another way of letting people know that our similarities and differences alike will make us stronger, unify us, and bring everybody together.
If we can get people to open up their hearts and minds toward what you just said, and I think in all the great faith traditions, we're going to have as you say, Ben Shamba from the St. Luke's Rectory in East Hampton, Rabbi Jan Orbach of Bridgehampton Shul, and an imam that you've invited. What I'm trying to say here, to ask you, is that there are elements within these faiths that would have some difficulty accomplishing what you've just said, because they're very insular and want to maintain a rather extreme viewpoint of their own faith, which seeks to dominate other people.
Right.
Right?
Learning the
You see that in the Middle East today.
Sure. Learning of those three religions, which I can attest to knowing some comparative religious studies, is that they're not saying that we need to be alone. Islam tolerates other beliefs.
Mhm.
Judaism tolerates other beliefs, and so does Christianity and so many other religions and faiths. So I don't think that religion is meant to be one and just by itself to exist on earth. All religions are tolerance of other beliefs. Unto me, my religion, and unto you, your religion. That's one of the verses in the Quran.
Yeah.
So I think the message that one faith wants to be by themselves is a misnomer. I think the extremist version of that may claim so.
Yeah.
And I believe a lot of wars and atrocities may occur in the name of religion, but I don't know any religion that teaches that.
That's a great, great point. You really made it very well. That's what I was trying to get across. I think you're basically right. I mean, people are people. Basically, we want the same thing. We may believe certain things are different than others, but I think what's happened is the polarization of this country, not along just religious lines, Christian nationalism, for example, um, but there are these extremist elements who have taken over. I'm thinking more of the Middle East now, where you have Jewish extremists who believe this is the land that God gave them. And there are extremists on the Muslim Hamas side who are saying, no, river to the sea should be all Muslim. Some of the extremists on the other side, no, Jews have it. So I don't think the majority of Gazans or Israeli Jews really believe that, but for whatever reason, they are beholden to these extremist groups. And I think also in this country too, the Christian fundamental nationalists have really taken over the agenda, and that's the formation or the foundation of so much as what is going on in this country as well. That makes it harder for us to have the sort of dialogue and the wonderful openness that you have.
The interesting part is that we are emphasizing on the negative right now, meaning the Israeli versus Gaza issue, the Christian nationalists you mentioned. Uh, but what we have to realize is that there's billions of people on Earth, and we're talking about the few select, and in the whole global way, a few small area in the world. And our emphasis is just that is representing humanity. But that's a small section. We, even in the United States, are not the world. We are a country. We may think that the world revolves around us, but then again, we are a country. So I feel that even though our event is focused on what's happening in these two little places, humanity itself globally is supposed to exist and coexist. So, I like to give our species a bit more credit that we are not to divide and we are not to hurt one another, even though it may seem so much so. However, there's so much peace approaching the differences in a different way. Just because the propaganda and for advancement of society for one nation or the other to uh, get into a direction of exclusion that we exist in this land or we exist on the other, shouldn't stop us from here where we are in the Hamptons or any other community that exists to think that that is the value that we all adhere to. We do not. And that is the platform we're creating right now that
Through this show that we're and the event we're going to do, and more events after that, because this is not the one shot sort of thing.
correct. I
Yeah.
think this is the time that our new generation and the current will realize that we have to speak up and we have to not let the negative narrative define our lives day to day. When we wake up, we're listening to what's happening. If is the peace making of the Gazans and the Israelis happening or not? The Christian nationalists, are they attacking whomever they need to? Like, we wake up to such a negative atmosphere. And I think majority of us need to come out of our shells and engage with one another
Absolutely.
and
Connect and meet each other.
bring back that positivity that we are meant to have.
I couldn't agree with you more. However, I'm not being negative about this. I'm just trying to be accurate empirically, if you look at the data throughout history, more people have been killed through religious wars than anything else in history. Now, that can't continue. So the positive part, all right, so that's the reality. It doesn't help us to just deny that. But you're absolutely right. We don't need to just be obsessed by that. Okay. We need to realize that we can change things, we can learn, and we can heal. And the way to heal is through listening to each other and the hurts that have happened in people. People do that individually. That's how you become friends in a sense. You share the good times, the bad times, the tough times, and then you move forward. But to deny that it didn't exist seems to me to be even more harmful. But I'm all with you. This is going to be a very positive event, and hopefully it'll bring out a tremendous diversity in our community. People who may not necessarily would ordinarily meet each other and dialogue, and because we're all in our little silos here.
Yeah, I think it's time to bring back the 10 commandments. I think it's time to talk about the 5 pillars of Islam and the portions of what Judaism stands for and many other beliefs, let it be Buddhism, Unitarian, uh, Hinduism, whatever it may be.
Could I
think,
just add one, and also secular humanists?
correct,
Right, we're not saying that everybody,
correct.
yeah, because that's a very valid tradition which has been very ethical at times and not so ethical at
Right.
times. So just,
I think if
yeah,
anything, we're giving a platform for the religious advocates to showcase how to unify and
yeah,
how to talk about our differences and what values have they learned within their own religion to display that for us right now. We need, not just from a medical standpoint, because I am a physician, married to a physician, and we deal with not just medical illnesses, but also mental health. So can we learn more coping mechanisms of our current society, not just from a medical standpoint, but from a faith standpoint and from just a humanistic standpoint?
yeah.
You know, I came across a saying that even an atheist is looking for something to believe in and something with some place to belong to, right? So I think overall, yes, there has been more and more deaths in the name of religion, but perhaps it's not just the religion, it's the land, it's the differences, it's the people, it's to conquer something. But you know, I think people have had enough of everything that we've got. I think on earth we are very fortunate to have advancements of medicine, advancements of food, access, travel. I mean, we have so many positive things that are going on right now. And I think, go ahead.
Well, agreed, for segments of the society.
Correct.
But there are vast elements or segments of the society that don't have that.
Well, let's bring
And
the
they're being
morale.
cut, the medical grants, the medical research that's being cut, for example, the medical healthcare that's going to be cut. You're going to see even more people in need of your services, and
Correct.
it's overloaded already.
Correct. Well, let's bring the morality back,
Yeah,
right? Because I think that will help us navigate all the advancements that we've had and how to really utilize it well. And let it be social media, let it be AI, let it be GPT, whatever it may be. I think we are in the forefront of changing how we behave as humans. However, we need to bring it back to a positive way. We need to intertwine ourselves. And I think if the faith leaders for this current event that's happening can bring us together and become an example, then that will be great.
yeah.
And also, I think the ultimate process of all this is that for us to heal by knowing that we're all hurting and let's get together, let's get the fear out, because ultimately, we bleed the same.
Absolutely. I think at the core of this is a sense of disrespect, humiliation, that loneliness that people are feeling, and past traumas that need to be healed. And again, in your work and husband's work, Jim's work, I'm sure you run into that. And that takes a variety of forms, whether it might be, I don't know, alcoholism, drug addiction, suicide, all kinds of things are part of that overall person that you have to deal with. And I think you're very, very right. These are spiritual and moral concerns, and we need to look at our spiritual leaders for guidance. And they're the ones that really have to begin to show the way here.
Yeah, and I think to not be shut down of speech, right? Because when an event is held, the opposite party or the opposition would protest or not have a place of conversation. So I think the event that we're focusing on
Yeah.
is one, to have our clergy display the right way of unifying ourselves, and the other for the people who are attending the event is to tell us about the differences they have, and it's to have a discourse, but in a more civil way. We're not turning anyone down for their belief and for what they have to say. I think it is a platform for them to speak up,
Yeah.
because that is what America is about, is to speak our mind, is to have our differences, and yet not be negated about that.
Mhm.
So I think I'm really looking forward to the event, because it would be great to hear everyone in the community who want to have a voice to come there and
Absolutely.
say it.
Yeah.
And we will have a platform for everyone to tell us how they feel.
We're planning on at least a half hour of Q&A, and depending on the people, if there are more questions, we'll carry it over. So we're gonna have a few words by you and me before, and then the main event, in a sense, will be these three wonderful local spiritual religious leaders answering questions that we have developed for them, and then they'll be able to comment with each other about it, dialogue with each other, and then, of course, the audience will get an ample opportunity to ask them questions, ask us questions, ask each other questions. And out of this, I'm very confident that we're gonna really have a wonderful, wonderful event. Tell us where it's gonna be again now?
Oh, yes, it's
Well,
going to,
yeah, so people know, this
yeah,
is gonna be
it's,
on, so
yeah,
people will be seeing
it's,
this and,
it's
before.
on Bridgehampton Sag Harbor Turnpike.
Right.
There's a facility, Unitarian Universalists. They've been very kind to let us rent the space. And the
975, 977?
977 Bridgehampton Sag Harbor
Second
Turnpike.
right.
And we're hosting the event on a Sunday. I believe the doors do open at 5:30, but properly we'll start everything by 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And we're hoping to last for a couple hours, and if people want to stay longer and discuss, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole aim is really the healing process starts once we open up and we identify and we speak of what's bothering us. Because I think, the internet and social media allows us to speak, but it's not a humanistic approach, because you're writing and typing and then other people are adding and then there's no emotional thing. And
There's-
we've learned that's not the way to communicate.
It's gotta be personal.
It's gotta be
It's gotta be
personal.
in person.
Yeah,
That's what most, up to a point, you can, type each other's messages and so on, but a
right.
lot gets lost, yeah.
Yeah,
And we've lost that human contact, that human conversation, and, we're gonna resurrect that.
that's right.
And spread it around the community. And,
Yeah.
and this will hopefully, get other people to have their own meetings
Correct.
about whatever. One of the questions we're gonna ask, our spiritual leaders is what specific questions or problems or issues exist in the Hamptons that they would like to address themselves to in more of a spiritual, religious way. I mean, there's so many things. Homelessness.
Yes.
There's 800,000, not just 800,000 homeless in this country. We're not, we're not in our silos. We have homeless shelters. We have people. Winter is fast approaching. So where do are we our brother's keeper?
Mm.
And if so, it's not just, well, that's fine too, giving turkeys once a year on Thanksgiving, but this has to go deeper, because there is a cruelty going on in this country of cutting policies, cutting programs, and cutting vital resources for people. And someone's gonna have to take up the slack. And it may be the religious leaders, but they can't do it all. That's one of the reasons that government got involved, because it was impossible for the religious leaders to take on all these, these social issues.
I run I'm a concierge physician, so I'm private pay, and
Right.
I deal with a different set of patient population, and I'm a capitalistic overall American. However, there's a socialistic part of us as well. I feel that one doesn't have to be one or the other. I think there's a middle ground somewhere. I could, right? Like, I feel like maybe that's where really the fine line is how can we help the homeless?
Share the wealth
Share,
collectively,
right,
fair, just being fair, pay your fair share of taxes, for
right,
one thing. Don't
right,
look for the loopholes and all that stuff.
right,
You know, it's not, we're not having a tirade against people making money here,
correct,
but that's not the be all and end all.
right,
And certainly, um, if you're talking about moral, spiritual values, it's not just about accumulating wealth and more material goods. It is about sharing, and we are a community. We need each other.
right. And then there's a sense of satisfaction in charity as well,
Mm.
right? Because I see quite a bit of anxiety, panic, PTSD, loneliness, and self-worth despite money obtaining. And I think when I come across patient population and they say they've done good for someone and that makes them feel good, that's a different good than someone who's capitalizing from a business perspective. So I think as a whole, we have to tap into every aspect of what, as a human, can fulfill us. And we do not have to just reach for one thing. I think there's got to be a good balance from all.
I agree. I agree. And we got to get away from labels here and socialism, capitalism. It's about really what the Hebrew scriptures have said over and over again. Um, don't fear the stranger, for you are a stranger in the strange land.
Right.
And more references in the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures, are centered around issues of poverty. And that was Christ's message too, and I'm sure Muhammad too.
Yeah, well, in Islam, there's 5 pillars, and one of the pillar is about charity. It's not an option. Whatever you earn, once you have fed yourself and sheltered yourself, you have to give a percentage to the needy. If you don't do that, that's not fulfilling the 5 pillars, right? So it's huge in Islam and in many other religions. And non religious people also feel great that they're being good people. They're not harming others, they're giving back to the world and to the environment. I think, as you said, despite the labels, collectively as humans, we are meant to be good people.
I love your optimism. I share it, but I'm also, that's why I think we're a good team here on this. But I will also say, and we've got a few minutes left here, um, the maldistribution of wealth, as I know you know, has increased doubly and triply in the last several years. The 4 richest people in this country, four, Musk and Zuckerberg and so on, control 93% of the wealth. It's out of whack. Capitalism, predatory capitalism, has gotten out of control. And depending on how you get that wealth, charity is not just about giving something to make you feel better and making sure that you have not ripped off and exploited great numbers of people to get your wealth. And one, we've been to Cornel West's event with me, and he famously puts it, justice is what love looks like in public. And that's what I think we want. We want to get back to what the great faith traditions do emphasize, love. And you have to love oneself first and love the other. And I think that's what we're also aiming for, right?
Right. You mentioned the four richest people. That's a numerical value for what they do have, but that is not necessarily the way I approach wealth. Let's say you could have a room, or sorry, you could have a house of 10 bedrooms, 10 beds, but you only need one bed to sleep in. The rest of them are for your ego, right?
Yeah, right.
They're just there. So when
Big
I
mansions.
big man, yeah, right. So when I look at a numerical value of someone's wealth, that doesn't define them, and nor does someone who doesn't have anything define them. The inner peace comes from your own belief system and what you do to yourself and to the others, right? So I think if we stop looking at one and the other and just sort of focus within ourselves and our surrounding, life is short. I think just that and emphasizing how we can make a difference. This is a calling. Having this event, this venue, and having a platform right now to speak to you is one, fulfilling for me personally. It's a calling for me to not sit quietly because I've tried to sit quietly about this and it doesn't feel right. So for
How
me,
so?
it feels as if something is happening and I'm not saying anything. I've been raised to speak up. I've been raised to make others feel safe, but also understand where I'm coming from. I mean, Islamic Center in the Hamptons started just now, a couple of years ago,
Brand
for
new.
and my
Come on.
husband, Dr.
All right.
James Groff,
That's right.
who's here.
Absolutely. This is the background here.
But point being,
We got 20 seconds. So,
Point
yeah,
being, what we want, we've got to obtain by speaking up about it.
Yeah.
And it will happen and it can happen, and we should not be suppressing our feelings.
absolutely. And that's the healthy way to do it. And I can't wait till our event. That's again going to be October 26th, 977 Bridgehampton,
Sag Harbor
Sag Harbor
Turnpike.
Turnpike, 5:30. Get there 5:30. We'll get you in there and we'll have a wonderful time. So thank you. Thank you so much, Asma, for being here. And thank you all for listening to us on The Radical Imagination, Real Talk in the Hamptons.